Tony Olisa Mbeki, delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
In and around Nigeria here on the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning to you and welcome. I am Chisom Chinedu. We've yet converged again on today's edition of the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM to make sense of happenings in and around Nigeria. I am Chisom Chinedu. Franklin Ebuka is here. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Chisom. Good morning to our lovely followers, people who have become ardent followers of this very program. So we quite appreciate all the things you do for us and for always tagging along. We are quite appreciate the fact that you are there. And today, like she said, we're already here because there are other things we also need to bring to or bring you up to date with, because today seems to be like a judgment day for the APC. Many people who are aspiring for different positions within the APC, those aspiring for governorship, senatorship, and House of Reps members, today they are going to know their fate. So we are going to know whether the incumbents are going to return or if new persons are going to emerge as candidates for the party. And we're also going to look forward to see how the party is going to manage it, because the party is tilted towards adopting a consensus approach in choosing who flies the party's flag in different positions. And of course, we know that there are already dissensions within the party. Many people are kicking against it, saying that there is need for internal party democracy, where a level playing field should be provided for everybody to test their popularity. So we're going to see what happens if eventually after the primaries some people are going to go to court, or if they're going to resort to the party appeal panel to resolve whatever difference or agitation they might have at the end of the primary. Then on the long run, we do not know whether it's going to have effect on how they are going to build a party in the election proper, whether they're going to play anti-party or just say that party is supreme and move ahead. Then from Anambra State, yesterday there was a report that was issued by government handlers talking about a panel that was constituted to investigate an allegation which was leveled against the special advisor to the governor on homeland security, talking about Mr. Ken Makai. Anybody who is active on Facebook or on social media will know that at some point in time, former chairman of National Human Rights Commission, Barrister Chidi Odinkalo, or you can call him Professor Chidi Odinkalo, there was one allegation he raised that an unnamed advisor to the governor on security was hobnobbing with the wife of a Akwakuko, or having an amorous relationship with the wife of Akwakuko. And that very time he didn't name anybody, but the government of Anambra State put up a panel to investigate that. So yesterday that panel report came out, And in this case, they named the person who was referenced. They named Mr. Kenan Emaka, saying that the panel found nothing in the allegation. According to the panel, in the course of the sitting, everybody or all the parties involved, Ken himself, the wife of Akwokoko, counsel to Akwokoko, likewise Odenkalo himself, they were all invited to come and testify. According to the panel, other parties testified except Odenkalo, but Odenkalo did not testify, neither virtually nor physically. But guess what? After the panel report came out, Odenkalo went on X, formerly Twitter, trying to make mess of that report by the committee, saying that it's a grand cover-up. So, in the coming days, let's see whether he's going to spill the beans, because from what we gathered, he was asked to come to the panel and name, his source, what he had as information, which he didn't come. But now that he's speaking more, writing more on X, so the onus is now on him to provide the information he has, or the evidence of what he has, to counter what the government has put out.
All right, then Dr. Tony Olisenbeke is here to do justice to all of these matters. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning to you, Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, in the Anambra. Good morning, in the Onisha Donidu. Good morning, in Dosimohu. Good morning, everyone under the reach of a voice. Businessmen and women, traders, artisans, civil servants, scholars, different professionals across different fields. Everybody, our pensioners, our senior citizens, the physically and then mentally challenged, everyone, we welcome you and we say good morning to you. It's a very bright Wednesday morning today, being the 13th today in the month of May, the year 2026. Just as we know very well, the day is just fast running. We are back in our sanctuary to perfect the truth, to tell you the undiluted truth. That's what we do here. We are doing our evangelical work. A lot of things, many things have happened. We are going to talk about them. I possibly heard Franklin talking about Chedo and Carlo, and then the statement he made against the government, I think not government, Ken Emakai, and the constitution of panel that investigated that matter, and we are told that he was invited severally to join visually or sending messages, but he could not oblige. But he keeps making a statement. But for me, that's not majority. He would have obliged the panel and spilled a source of whatever information he has. And if you cannot disclose these things and you want people to swallow the way and manner you dish out these things, that's not a majority for me. If you make accusation, the onus lies on who makes accusation. Onus propandi, incubit, equidicit, non equinegat. The onus lies on somebody who makes allegation to substantiate same. If you cannot do that, the person may also sue you for libel and defamation of character. But that's by the way. Well, we thank God Almighty for this very day, for another day, the miracle of waking up every day. Yesterday, for those in the entertainment section, we saw very sad news. Alexi Ekubo, we are told that he lost his life. Of course, he died at the age of 41. For those who follow Nigerian movies, the Nollywood, that very industry was thrown into mourning yesterday, and many of them are mourning over the loss of this young, vibrant man. Maybe she may know much about that, because that's not our field. Well, we pray for the repose, eternal repose of his soul, and others who may have passed on in one way or the other. We thank God Almighty for a day like this. Just sit back and enjoy the program.
All right, then, let's tell you what the front pages of the paper say. Right after that, we dive into the conversation proper. On our table today, we have Nigerian Tribune, Vanguard, The Punch, and The Guardian. And on Nigerian Tribune, the banner headline is APC Primaries, Consensus Option Shaky, as 101 aspirants eye 28 GABA tickets. That's on page 3. Akwara leads with 16 aspirants, Oyo 11, Yayi Hamzat get challengers in Ogun, Lagos. Mufwang, Fubara, Alia face opposition, Borno's consensus successful. All of that on page 3. Now, beside the photo story beneath the nameplate, Oyo APC leaders endorse Adele Abu's governorship bid on page 4 as he officially declares ambition and views development blueprint. Mutfwang bans night mining and grazing on page 3. Ogun senatorial stakeholders present Abiodun as consensus candidate on page 11 and will emerge victorious at APC senatorial primaries. Daniel is speaking. Insecurity, Nigeria under siege. Atiku speaking on page 4 asks FG to treat security collapse as national emergency. Nigeria's petroleum consumption surged by to 51.1 million liters per day in April. The NMDPRA on page 5. Africa loses $89 billion annually to illicit financial flows. Tax experts on page 5. More Hunta virus cases may emerge in coming weeks. The World Health Organization is speaking on page 15.
Okay, so let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. The big story there says APC knockout day. 30 governors, 88 senators, 242 rep members, 2,620 others, no fate today on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And the writers there have it like a party to release screening report today. Yawada reads riot act to aspirants. I'm ready to face any aspirant. Beat Abiodun in primaries. Daniel. Ogun East, APC endorses Abiodun for Senate. And yesterday I saw some APC members, raising concerns about how Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, is caucusing with the APC national chairman. And some of those people who expressed concern were asking questions why Wike, who is of the PDP, seems to be dictating or seems to be directing what happens within the APC in Rivers State, knowing that people who are aligned with the Fobara, they seem to be the victims of the screening of the party. Then over to other headlines on front page of Vanguard. On page 8, NUT rejects FG's UTME waiver for NCE admission. Why I finally wrote my story after decades. Go on. He released his memoir. And above the nameplate, petrol consumption jumps 10.8% to 52.4 million, defies higher pump prices on page 20. Nollywood actor Alexi Ekubo dies at 40 after battle with liver cancer on page 6. 2027 polls marking day to declare presidential ambition, unveil PDP APM alliance on page 10. Perhaps it's learned from Wike. Wike has a rainbow coalition in River State, PDP APC, and then we're now seeing Makinde unveiling PDP APM alliance in on the state. Then this one says British government has no preferred candidates in Nigeria's elections, says envoy on page 8. Then on page 9 says xenophobic attacks, Nigerian lives more important than investment, Oshomole. Over 72 killed as military bombs Zanfara market on page 7. DHQ, no civilian casualties. I do not know what is happening because since yesterday, some persons have been complaining that the strike that happened in Niger State claimed some civilian lives. Then there was another one in Zanfara State Market. Some reports are claiming that 117 persons died in that very attack, but DHQ has maintained that anybody who died in that very strike was a terrorist. Then this headline says Atiku for Tinubu's security strategy as ex-lawmaker dies in captivity. That story is on page 9. And another thing you can see on the front page of Vanguard is Mr. and Mrs. column for those who like comedy.
All right, then let's go to the next paper on our table today and let's see what the Guardian holds. Importers grown as Middle East crisis, Hormuz toll strain supply. OPEC, that's on page 6. Repentant Boko Haram members to swear Quran oath. Are we still on this repentant Boko Haram thing?
You see, the thing is, if you go through the story, you see how Borno State government was trying to give some credence to what they're doing to reintegrate them into the society, trying to say that by the virtue of administering oath to them using Quran, perhaps they might have some sense of commitment and fear, and that makes you to wonder what happens to our political leaders who are sworn in using Quran and the Bible, and they still go ahead to do those things that people think are not in consonance with their oath to the Constitution and then to the Bible Quran.
56 years later, Gowon relieves civil war in autobiography on page 7. Alleged coup, court begins trial within trial over defendant statement on page 4. Monthly petrol spending hits 2 trillion naira as Dangote receives 39.2 million barrels of crude on page 4. Health workers shut down services over EFCC's raid of UUTH on page 8. Kwara APC faces fresh tensions over religion 2027 succession plan. ADC wants alleged 800 billion naira fact diversion probed as FG seeks fresh loans. All output hits 1.66 million barrels per day as Navy intensifies pressure across creek corridors. Page 3. Nigeria ranks third as students abroad surge 98% in 4 years. Page 2. Tinubu Ruto meet as African leaders push credit reforms at Nairobi summit with France on page 3.
Okay, so the last paper we have this morning, which is the Punch, and the big story there says pre-election primary screening. Tension mounts as APC panels disqualify over 150 aspirants. On page 2, the riders. Screening fallout rock state ahead of Friday's commencement of primaries. Disqualified APC candidates storm appeal panels as Amopito chapter, or as Anambra chapter expels 30. Aggrieved aspirants pie pressure on APC over screening row. Then beside the nameplate is the story about Makinde's presidential bid, and the story reads, Makinde may join 2027 presidential race Thursday. On page 2, NDC PEX presidential form at 60 million. Primaries hold May 29th on page 8. And NDC is copying what Abuga did, or following the footsteps of Abuga, whereby you can only pay nomination fee after you have been screened and found eligible. So what you do is get your money, go and get your expression of interest form. Then once you have been screened and found eligible, you can then go ahead to get their nomination form. This one says CBN order 4 banks release 321,181 dormant accounts on page 18. Gowon unveils memoir defense civil war choices on page 9. This one says military disrupt terror operations, intercept 400 Starlink devices. Interesting on page 7. Medical report outrage as EFCC operatives assault UNIO doctor workers on page 5. I saw that very story where NMA in Akwa Ibom, they had declared strike because they believe that their members were assaulted when EFCC stormed teaching hospital UNIO in the quest of the investigation. But EFCC has said that they did not malhandle anybody, rather they were just doing their job in the manner it was supposed to be. FG orders varsities to suspend drug offenders on page 7. Nigeria misses OPEC oil production quota again on page 19. Dangote exports 1.66 billion liters fuel amid US-Iran tensions on page 26 of the Punch newspaper. And, these are the headlines on the front page.
All right, then we're going to start off the conversation proper. Just to remind you that we are live on Facebook. Udala Radio 104.7 FM is our handle. Drop your comment right under the post of this show. Frank, so we said we talk about And of course, the conversation would have to start from home. And Anambra State media has been, shaking for quite some time now, for quite some days, over videos that emerged where a priest was caught up in a situation, and there have been many accounts as to what happened there. Some people alleged that the video was of a priest who was caught with a female student doing the improper thing. And of all things, once the religious are involved, that is the possibly the biggest allegation that people would levy. But from reports emerging, Tony, we understand that what happened there has absolutely nothing to do with what has been alleged. It has to do with the imbroglio that has been ongoing concerning ownership and concerning who should be in the premises. According to reports, thugs were invited by one party, and in the process, the supposed priest in the video had to run into a female hostel, and he was beaten at some point. Make it make sense, please. All of the stories and the allegations.
My concern is that the stories we are getting from that very university is not something befitting for a state like Anambra State. We wouldn't want a situation whereby you'll be trending nationally for a wrong reason. That's my concern.
Let's start with the fact that lies were attached first.
But we wouldn't say, the truth is that we've not done investigation. We wouldn't say who is telling lies or who is saying the truth.
I mean, the story about that video that trended being from some improper act.
Yes, the video that trended was of the side or on the note that a priest ran into or was caught in the act having sexual intercourse with a female student, and students were alarmed by seeing that happening in one of the campuses, in one of the classrooms, and before you know it, that was what trended. But the truth is, no one has dug so deep. But we have seen a rebuttal. The other rebuttal saying that was not the case. It was a case of ownership tussle. Those who had wanted to take over the school, the Tansian University, remember, says the proprietor, Reverend Musino Akan, died. The school has been a subject of litigation. It's before a court of competent jurisdiction. We've also seen Rumi Ezonwoka, Chief Rumi Ezonwoka Ogilisibo, making claims that both of them, that he started the university with Museno Akan, that his property was used to set up the upper campus, and they had an agreement. But over time, there was a litigation, there was consent judgment. I have listened to him, but that's not the issue. And he indicted some priests saying that they were the ones behind those imbroglio. But nevertheless, that's not our business. The issue is the trending video, the video that trended. And I can't just say for sure this was the case or this was not the case. I wouldn't say this was exactly what happened. But those who trended the video, a blogger trended the video and told the whole world that a priest was caught in the act and the student beat hell out of him. But the question is, was a priest beaten? Yes, the priest was beaten.
Exactly. I was asking you about that lie.
What was the reason? What was the reason? According to Gist Lover, that's the blogger that carried it. They carried it that the priest was caught in the act, a reverend father. But according to a reporter from another source, the reporter is saying that's not the case, that it didn't happen that way. That what happened was some set of priests who were making claims of ownership of the university had come to take over the institution in a manner and the way they had wanted it. They came with talks. And I keep asking, can priests come with talks to make a point, to take over institution, or to make claims? Can a priest or a set of priests resort to brigandage?
Are they not humans?
For me, I think
Nigerians at that.
The point is, what message are you passing? How do you want people to see you? Because these are people that should be models. These are people young ones look up to. That's why if you're a footballer, there are things you are bad from doing in the public. The idea is there are those who idolize you. There are those who see you as their mentors. More reason why you will not misbehave in the public. It's not about being a human being. It's about the influence that should have on the young ones. The point I'm trying to make here is this. Even if you decide to take the rebuttal story, which says that it has to do with ownership tussle, but that rebuttal story also pointed out to the fact that those priests, about 2 or 3 of them that had come to take over, they brought talks, and the person who authored that very rebuttal was also a priest.
All right, our correspondent Ben was there yesterday,
Okay.
and I'm trying to patch up to Ben so that he would tell us what he gathered while he was there. Unfortunately, he didn't take the first call, but Ben knows that he's expected to be on the show. I'm hoping that probably he's not close to his phone. But once Ben picks up his call, Ben is going to be telling us what he found out at Oba yesterday. Hello, Ben. Are you there? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Ogadagidi. Good morning, Franklin Ebuka.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Anambra State and beyond.
You're welcome.
So, Ben,
Thank
talk
you.
to us. You were at Oba yesterday
Yes.
to follow up on the Tansian story. Would you please bring us up to speed? What exactly happened?
What really happened was some miscreant entered the school to create some havoc and disorderliness, and it was painted to be sexual harassment that got involved a lady and a priest, but it wasn't so. It wasn't so. It was some miscreant who are not even unidentified people, who entered there to create disorder. And that has been reported to the Nigerian police.
But I also want to know, those miscreants, are they the priests being talked about? That is one. And secondly, why was a priest beaten, a reverend father beaten by students?
No priest was beaten by student, but there was a disorder.
The person we saw with being clothed in a manner we saw. In fact, made
Looks like
inquiry.
his clothes were
Yes,
torn.
the cloth was torn, and I made inquiry. We were told that the man is a reverend father.
No, he's not. Yeah, I was there, and I got involved with authorities of the school, including the mouth speaker of the very university in question. So those things we are being purported by some group of people who are really trying to pull down the reputation of the institution.
All right. Who brought those talks?
Yes, that is the investigation that the Nigerian police have been engaging on, and the institution is expecting their full weight of report.
The person beaten, or maybe the way he was, shoved or undressed. Who is that person?
That's what I'm telling you. That is what I'm telling you. The media can get videos. They can interpret so many things. No priest was involved. No sexual harassment within and outside the school. No student was involved.
Okay, we understand that there was no sexual harassment, Ben. However,
Yes.
there was an incident, right?
From my investigation, it shows that there have been issues over there regarding the Rogeni issue, because if you go through the internet, you see series of reports, and those reports doesn't match with the allegation the enemies are purporting over them there. But then that very issue of Rogeni will still be, dealt with.
So what you're trying to say is that the entire drama was still over ownership
Yes, exactly.
and nothing to do with
No, not at all.
impropriety.
Not at all, or any priest associated to the institution.
Okay, so Ben, I have some questions. In your opening remark, you said some miscreants were the ones who came to the school. There are reports out there, mentioning some reverend fathers who organized some persons who came to the school in the quest to take over in the tussle you mentioned, because we know that anybody who has been following the Tansian incident knows that there have been about two sides claiming leadership of the institution for a while now, and since that very moment, issues have been turning out on daily basis. So the report claiming that there were some people who were led by a certain Reverend Father to come to the school in a bid to take over the leadership. So how do you speak to this very story? Is there substance in this?
Regards to the tussle on who takes over the leadership and administration of the school, we know quite well, but as a journalist, I try as much as possible to maintain balance. So I know every detail regards to that, and the institution are on their knees towards that. I wouldn't, there are certain pivotal and sensitive information I wouldn't begin to talk on air as a journalist, because I need to maintain balance.
But even at that, okay.
Hello.
Even at that, I was actually trying to say, because we are very careful not to maybe bring in anything that we are not too sure of, because there was a rebuttal authored or allegedly authored by Reverend Father Peter Uche Onwara, and then in his rebuttal he mentioned some Reverend Fathers. In fact, he went further to say that there was or there were already lingering tensions surrounding the removal of former chancellor.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think we are the priest in question who wrote that thing circulating on net is not an authority ascribed to the institution to say what the institution stands for. He's not repping the institution. He's not the public relation of the institution. He's not the management of the institution. So we are trying as much as possible to follow the right channel, to get the right information, to crack, more deeper officially, and to feed the people with the correct infos.
But then, Ben, if you say that the priest who authored what he authored is not representing the institution, he did his own hold on. He did his own fact finding. And remember, if you take whatever those who represent the institution say to be true, it means that we are also not balanced, because they may not tell you the truth. That's the reason why we have to get involved. Maybe we have to interface with the student, interface with the people who are all concerned.
That's what I'm telling you.
The issue of removal of Reverend Father Dr. Edwin Obiora's son, was that an issue as a chancellor? Was that an issue? Was he removed?
No, he wasn't removed. He's still there.
But
he's still there, and he's there officially.
You wouldn't say officially, because if
he was constituted officially. You understand what I'm saying?
If you say officially, it means that you also taking side. You have not done your
no.
There are those who are making claims.
That is what I'm telling you.
Hold on.
As a journalism, there is something we call muckraking journalism.
Let me ask you,
in that very aspect,
why are there claims that he has been removed? Have you been able to find out the claims that he has been removed?
That is what I'm telling you. That is why the premise, which you mentioned, stated that there are fractions, two sides, those who claim and those who claim ownership, and rest of them. That's what I'm telling you. So there are oppositions. Okay, there are oppositions who are. I made a statement earlier that I wouldn't like to say one or two things that I'm not supposed to say on air.
Have you interfaced with the opposition and why they are making their claims?
Of course.
What did they say?
That's what I'm telling you. I wouldn't say that on air.
And then you would also say the ones that the proposition said on air, but you would not say the one the opposition said not on air.
From the foundation, we have what is called the crust, the crust of the matter, the genesis of every matter. You cannot all of a sudden you claim blind eye to what has been the background, the origin. Origin remains original, can never be a counterfeit.
All right, but then I would also want you to cite the consent judgment, the court's judgment, the appeal before the Supreme Court, because we also understand that there was a consent judgment against the chancellor. I would want you to cite it, even when you wouldn't want to cite it and let the people know about that judgment. Was there a judgment from appeal court? Was there a judgment from Federal High Court against those managing the institution at this point? And then what the pending before the Supreme Court is? Would also want to know everything.
Are you asserting that there has been litigation over that?
Of course, we saw one peddled by Romeo Zonwoka, and then he has been brandishing the judgment. So we also want to know where the judgment is coming from.
Okay. Can I say something?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
I think maybe we should be able to categorize where we're coming from, because from the look of things now, it appears that the interests there are in threefold.
Yes.
Interest there are in threefold. One is the one coming from Romeo Onwuka, who is claiming that the land where the university is situated at Oba, it's his land. That's number one.
Even the structures.
The number two is the fact that there are also people within the university structure who are also claiming that this person has been deposed or this person has not been deposed.
Exactly.
So it appears there are three interest groups in the university now, so we speak, who are claiming one thing or the other. But the issue we have now is the video that people saw,
the training video,
which people began to ascribe meaning to, saying that a Reverend Father was involved in sexual immorality with his
and that is what we try as much as possible to set the record correct, because once the reed got bent, they're going to be a misconception and assimilation, and that the reed had been set straight.
Okay. So from what we can establish from you is that there was nothing like a priest having a sexual relationship with.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Undressed.
The video there.
Not at all. Not at all.
So the video there is a propaganda. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, it's a purported, well-meditated concept to defend the reputation of Tanshin University.
Let me also add, Ben, please, can you tell us who was undressed? That man that was undressed, who is he by name? Because you are there, you should find out.
I think there is something we call lasciviosity. One doesn't need to cross his boundary.
No,
you cross your boundary professionally.
You have to uncover everything and unveil everything and state out the way things are, unless you choose to do the ones you want to do and the ones you don't want to do.
Well, it's called lasciviosity.
well, let's leave
Investigations are still ongoing. Would also have more digging done on the matter, and we would keep you updated as any development unfolds. So for now, that's the side that Ben has brought to the media. We are hoping that over time, the other party involved would get to tell us some more. Some reports have it that the man who was undressed is a priest, and we're still fishing for a name. Some reports even have a name. I saw a report that has a name,
yes.
But I wouldn't want to be name calling.
In fact, there was a priest that even mentioned the name of the priest, but just like you said, we won't just delve into that.
Until we have concrete answers from both parties. Preferably the priest involved or the man now involved comes to the media to say something himself. Hey, but let's go to politics now. Quickly, the Punch primary screening tension mounts as APC panels disqualify over 150 aspirants. And this is given to petitions, protests, legal threats and accusations of imposition have trailed the ongoing screening of aspirants by the ruling APC across several states ahead of the 2027 general elections, exposing widening cracks within the party over the use of consensus arrangements and the disqualification of aspirants. Investigations by the Punch reviewed that aggrieved aspirants in states including Taraba, Kano, Jigawa, Anambra, Benue, Kogi, Kaduna, Ebonyi, Rivers, and Plateau were mobilizing petitions and possible legal challenges over the outcome of the party screening exercise. The screening exercise forms part of the APC's nationwide process aimed at reducing the number of aspirants ahead of the party's primary. However, the exercise has already generated controversy in several states, with disqualified aspirants expected to seek redress through appeal committees. And so, Tony, people are seeing cracks within the APC, which some persons do not see. They think this is what it should be. If it's going to be a consensus all the way, some persons would have to be screened out. What do you see?
Well, it has been going on. We expect things like this, but the proportion or the magnitude upon which it is coming, we did not expect, or personally I did not expect. If you look at what is going on in some states, we talked about River State, where nearly about 32 aspirants were disqualified, and they were all linked to Fubara, including former factional speaker Victor Okojumbo and other pro-Fubara lawmakers. The 33 that were cleared are largely aligned to incumbent FCT minister. Of course, many of them are incumbent lawmakers aligned with the FCT minister. We know very well that if you look at the reason the screening committee gave for disqualifying them, are these reasons trivial or are these reasons material? These are questions, because some of the reasons I cited, that many of them are not financially up to date with party membership dues, contrary to APC Constitution Article 9.3. The issue of attempting to bribe committee members, the screening committee members. Can you prove that? Is there evidence to that? That's the submission of unsworn or invalid affidavits. How can you tell me that somebody went to get an affidavit from court and then it becomes invalid? What makes it invalid? How did you term the affidavit to be unsworn when it has both the stamp and seal of the registrar of oath, and you say it's invalid or unsworn? Issue of saying that some of them don't have voters card. How can somebody who is vying for an election wouldn't have a voter card? And saying that some of them have a conflicting date of birth and inconsistencies in names. Does it mean that those who are aligned to Wiki, their own, if you look at their own case, very correct, their records, all of their records are correct? Those who are aligned to Fubara, all their records are wrong. What image or what message are you trying to pass? If you look at those who were disqualified, about 60 something of them, about good number of them, you disqualify them based on these news or these stories I get to hear on daily basis. But the point is, there is a political undertone, and not just in River State. Not just in River State. If you also go to a state like Benue State, we are told that over 20 House of Assembly aspirants disqualified in Benue State by APC screening panel. Over 20 House of Assembly. So we also told that the same thing happened in some other states. That those who are disqualified are merely those, either the person who has the control of the party structure would not want, and they will disqualify you and give you any reason. To disqualify somebody is easy. You can fetch, there are many reasons you can use to disqualify somebody, and these are reasons they have fetched. They will come from different angles. If you don't have this, they may even tell you that in your home you don't have fire extinguisher. But even when that is not related to the party, but they will make it to be a party related issues as one of the reasons. Financially up to date, as if the person cannot even clear that before coming for screening. Just as we saw what happened during the screening of some commissioners, where the speaker told one of them to sing a second stanza of national anthem. As if you ask him to sing it, he will sing it. You ask somebody to sing what was newly introduced that many people don't even know about, or maybe you expect them to know it, which I believe it is true. But I had thought that when a man couldn't sing it, you can also sing it and tell the man, look at what you cannot sing, I can sing it. I don't know if you understand me. They are looking for ways to get these people disqualified. And if you search, there are those that once they bring their credentials, they will tell them, take a bow and go. But we know there is political undercurrent. But many of these people who have been screened out, they have gone to appeal committee to see if that can change. But what the appeal committee will come up, will be want to also push them to go before any federal high court to institute a suit against the disqualification, which they have right to.
Okay, so certainly, you talked about a couple of things, because already there are dissensions within the APC because of how the screening has been going, and it appears as if the party is going towards ensuring that whoever that is blessed through consensus, gets to have the party flag to fly or not. And it also appears as if there are, the power brokers within the political party who are bent on ensuring that people who are aligned with them are the ones who are going to get the party ticket. But my questions are going to be in different ways. One is this: from what you have said, because you said parties can disqualify an aspirant based on different reasons. You even gave a very funny example that they can even ask you to provide fire extinguisher, and if you can't provide that, that becomes a grant for disqualification. I've seen a couple of parties itemizing a couple of things that they require aspirants to come with during their screening. For instance, I saw ABGA asking candidates to come with their original of their highest education qualification. Some will ask you, come with your NIN, come with this, come with that. So from what you said, does it mean that there is no common standard for screening aspirants who are going for political offices? During this very screening, do parties actually look at legal and the constitutional eligibility for this very aspirant? Do they look at this very thing, or just they look at those things that they think they might use it to disqualify some persons? Do they look at tax clearance? Is this person paying his tax and supposed to represent the public? This person, is he disciplined when it comes to party? What is his conduct like? Do they look at health and capacity? Do they look at security, background check? Do they look at political experience and public image? Do they put all these things into consideration, or just they look at any ways where, or they look at things that they can use against those who are destined not to be cleared?
Just like you mentioned, of course, there are those ones that are constitutional. If you look at the Constitution has itemized criteria for you to aspire to be a member of State House of Assembly. You must be a Nigerian citizen. You must be at least 25 years old. You must be a member of a political party and sponsored by that party. It did not say you must be financially up to date member of a political party. What the Constitution says is that you must be a member of a political party and sponsored by the political party. Of course, the Constitution says you must have at least a school certificate level qualification. If you go to interpretation art, that could also mean being able to write and read. You must not owe allegiance to another country. You are not be declared mentally unfit by a court. You must be not under a death sentence or convicted for certain criminal offenses involving dishonesty or fraud within the constitutional period. Yesterday, when I was talking about somebody who was convicted of traffic offense, and I say that it does not fall within this category, because if you go to the Constitution, it talks about not being under a death sentence or convicted for certain criminal offenses involving dishonesty or fraud within the constitutional period, and also not being financially bankrupt or be an undischarged bankrupt, or you must comply with party and INEC nomination requirements. These are constitutional. You can take that for governorship race, because for governor you must be at least 35 years of age, and some other things. And when you come for screening, these are things expected by the screening panel to make sure that you possess. The idea is, if you don't have all those things, somebody can institute a pre-election matter from your party to disqualify you, and by the time, if you have won that very seat, it means that you will really get that seat to the person who comes second. Parties wouldn't want to lose their seat in that way. We saw what happened in Bayelsa State, where there were different alterations of names by the deputy governor. That cost APC the governorship of Bayelsa State. If not for that, a deputy governor, the school living certificate names are different from the WAEC names. The WAEC names are different from the BAC names, but with different alterations. That was what Supreme Court used to disqualify him. And the parties felt that if they had done so much work during screening, these things would have been fished out And possibly the candidate may have been disqualified and another person would have been chosen so that the party will not be affected by the time election comes. But I see screening as looking towards things like this, things that will not cost your party that seat if your party eventually wins that seat. Anything that cannot cost that seat. That's for me what the party should be concerned about. When you talk about capacity, it is not for the party to decide if he has capacity or not. It is for the delegates. It's for those who are going to vote. And
when you say capacity, what do you mean? Because capacity also involves ability to deliver. On why you are going there, because do parties just clear people randomly without looking at the ability to deliver on the party manifesto and deliver the vision of the democracy to the people they are meant to represent?
If you
think that parties do that,
if you think parties would do that, do they have their own framework for doing that? Because you must have a framework. Parties can use anything as way of screening, because the court has said that issue of nomination.
So that means parties are not serious about doing screening. What they do is abacadabra. Is that what that means?
The thing is, because what the parties are doing, they do screen educational qualifications and certificates to make sure that it is not forged. Because if it is forged or mutilated, it will cost them the ticket.
If they actually do this very screening, so why have we had cases where people who had been elected and their election being nullified on the basis of not having requisite qualification or having forged?
The parties have not done their work.
So are you trying to say that they do not always do this?
They do not do their works. Most times screening is majorly based on political alignment within the party.
So probably to reduce competition for the favored one.
Political alignment within the party. If you think of maybe a way of reducing the competition or is political alignment, they will know who they want. I have seen most times people who join a political party look at somebody who is to be the candidate of the governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Sule. We are told that his candidate joined the party late last year, and when he came to defend it, because there are those who believe that he did not look around those who have been in the party, who have shown loyalty, who have worked for the party. You know how he defended it. He said that this young man was once with them in the party, that he was forced out during screening. They disqualified him. He went to another political party, won election with that unknown party, showing that people love him. But in his own party, APC disqualified him. When he wanted to run for Senate, he had to go to another party to win that seat.
So isn't this about competition within the party? Isn't this about, the persons at the helm of affairs in the party want to favor?
That is it. That is what it's like. Most times they make mistake to ignore the basic things like documents and some of the things they will tender, and by the time these things are fished out, it will cost them. That's what happens.
Sure.
Most of these screenings, for me, I've seen and observed, even when the Supreme Court has said it is the internal business of a political party. But many of them have jumped.
Can we go back to the basis now? Because if you look at this whole thing, and from what we're seeing in the APC now, it looks like everything boils down to the amendment which was made to the Electoral Act, whereby the Electoral Act now recognizes two modes of primary election, which is either by consensus or by direct. And because of the fact that direct primary system, involves a whole lot of funds and logistics, and most parties are likely to resort to the consensus method. And for APC, that's where they are tilting. If you go to Ebonyi State, there seems to be a friction between Ebonyi State governor and his predecessor over this consensus, and that has forced some members of the party to resign because they didn't feel good about how the arrangement for consensus was structured. If you go to Enugu State, they have a reasonable peace. If you go to River State, of course there is a road cost there, and some other places. I also heard that somewhere in Taraba, Nasarawa State, they're also having some rumpus in that places. But the likes of Lagos, there's peace because there's one man who caused the shot there. So looking at this whole thing, can we blame the amendment made to the Electoral Act, whereby the law now recognizes only two systems of primary, and in this very case, it now gives governors or people who call the shots within parties a seemingly authority for them to now handpick who they want, or it's an issue about the personalities who are running the party?
Well, this narration or the maybe narrowing of most of primary to just to like what we have direct primaries or consensus, removing delegate primaries or what we call it direct primaries. For us, many people believe that delegate primaries have caused a lot of problem. And when we talk about dollarization of primaries and spending by some political aspirants, we've seen it that it has not favored us. But in any case, I have looked around somewhere like United States of America. If they want to have their primaries, here we have direct and consensus. In US, they have what they call open primary, where any registered voter can participate. That's what we call direct primary. In US, it's called open primary. Then you also have closed primary in US, where only registered members of that political party can vote. In the case of US, when you talk about open primary, any registered voter can participate. The party will put it out, even beyond their political party. Situations whereby you are a registered voter, you can also vote for who will become the candidate of the party, because they believe by voting for who becomes the candidate of the party, you are still going to vote for the person during election. I don't know if you understand that. Okay. So that is their belief, that if we do this in open, we are even non-members of political parties, of our political party, come to decide for us who becomes the candidate of a party. Maybe in election they can still vote. That's what we call open primary. Closed primary is where members of the political parties, they are the ones going to vote.
So Tony, what's the issue we're having in Nigeria when it comes to this very primary? Because each year we have primary elections. It's always contentious. It's always acrimonious, and we get to see things happening. You know, people might even leave the party at the end of the primary because of the way it's handled. We have had 3 approaches to primary election: the direct, indirect. Okay, initially we had 2, direct, indirect. At the point it became 3, and now it's been limited to 2. Yet we are still having problem. So, are we having an issue of the operators always finding a way to exploit whatever method you bring about, or that we don't have good laws that can help us to clean up the system and make the electoral process become more democratic, where anybody can walk into a party and be able to test his popularity? And perhaps we might look towards having elections where we have credible candidates being littered here and there. People can now choose from a variety of credible candidates, or credible candidates.
And for me, I think the issue is this: the judgment by the Supreme Court that it is a purely internal affairs of political party. That's why it is what it is. And even if you go by electoral act provisions where you have direct and indirect primary, we have felt that the delegate primaries is so chaotic and is so manipulated. And now we have brought in direct primaries, and people are talking about logistics. And political parties do not want to use technologies. Just like I said, they have a way of bringing bottlenecks within whatever primary mode chosen. And why they are going too deep in screening is because they have been taken away from delegate primaries, where usually they make these kind of monies. Now they have to use screening to disqualify person. And if you look at what happened in Rivers State, they say that there were those who were attempting to bribe those who were doing the screening. The point I'm trying to make is Nigerians, we have a way of trying to manipulate everything that comes our way. Even if you turn the primary to be heaven primary, the one that will be chosen by angels, you will see those that will be attempting to bribe the angels and see what they can make out of the angels for them to have some candidates screened. It's a Nigerian thing. For me, why I say it's a Nigerian thing? Because that is what we have in our system, not because that is what we want.
What will it take to reform political parties in Nigeria? Because from the times we can trace back to, it's difficult to have political parties who are based on ideologies, who are guided by the interests of the people. Rather, what we do is that what we see is that parties always have a way of favoring those who favor the party, irrespective of whether they are going to be good candidates or whether they are going to serve the interest of the people. So is it possible, is there anything possible that can be done to see our parties sanitized, whereby Chisom can walk into party A, contest a primary, and stand the chance of winning without knowing anybody?
It is
without paying anybody.
It is possible when we allow technology to do the screening. We remove humans who are doing the screening.
Isn't that going to be too expensive?
No, these are things just like for you to write JAM now, you submit your requirements, you submit your credentials, you submit it to the portal. Screening will be done. If we remove humans doing this screening, what Franklin said will become possible, because humans are the ones making these things the way it is. And it is doable.
Guess what? I'll just share a story that even the technology can be manipulated. I'll share a story somebody told me. I was talking with a HR person, and he told me how sometimes they put out advertisement for jobs, whereas they don't have any opening. They just put out this advertisement to keep on showing their image out there. Then sometimes they also put out advertisements for jobs that the vacancies had been filled. They might put out the advertisement in several forms. Let's say if you're looking for head of news, for instance, today they put out this thing telling you they're looking for head of news. Next week they put it out telling you they're looking for head of content. It's still the same position being advertised, but nobody is going to employ. Now guess what? They said they have programmed the system whereby any application submitted, all of them are going to be screened out. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They have programmed in a way that none of the applications is going to scale through. That means that even that technology today, people also have a way of manipulating it in a way that is going to favor their disposition.
Just like
and the ones they have favored. So sorry to butt in there, Tony. I think this entire thing boils down to the persons running the show have their favored candidates. They find a fault with every other person.
That's if you bring in technology, some of these things will be reduced. Just like we said, once the technology is put out, and we know very well that it can be swayed in the sense that it can be adjusted to favor this person, or it can be adjusted because there are those who are at the back end trying to do certain reconfigurations and configurations, especially when it has to do with social person. But the point is, it will reduce a lot of bottlenecks, because how can somebody leave his home, leave his house, comes, do all those things physically, and then you tell him these things? You have caused a lot of inconveniences to the person and not those who may have joined him.
Do you see this triggering defections quickly?
Of course, we are going to see those. But then defection has been, once you've been screened, most of these political parties must have submitted their register to INEC. So once you've been screened out, you may not have the time to go to another political party because of the new electoral act. If you go by provision of section 73 or thereabout, these things are there. The point I'm trying to make is we have a way of manipulating things, and it is really costing us, and leaving these things in the hands of these people, that is what it is. But we know that for you to really, we want a situation where we bring in independent candidacy. It will solve these problems. If a candidate feels that he has the capacity, he has the quality, he submit it. Now INEC screens him, and then once he's screened based on credentials and dishonesty and criminality record and some of these things, he can go all out there and tell people to support him, and then we can win. We had it in 1960. Why are we not bringing independent candidates so that political parties cannot hold somebody to ransom?
Okay, then let's move on to other matters now. Hopefully, we keep our fingers crossed. When things happen from here on, we'll definitely let you know. Let's see who gets to leave the APC because they've been screened out. Or maybe they would grudgingly stay and then maybe
work against the party.
Sadly, so like what we had with the PDP. I mean, we can grudgingly stayed with the PDP and worked against the party. But we'll see how this eventually unfolds. Now, the Nigerian Union of Teachers, NUT, has strongly opposed the federal government's decision to exempt candidates seeking admission into Nigeria Certificate in Education, that's the NCE program, from writing the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. We're still having issues with the fact that our cutoff mark is at 150. And for polytechnics, we are having a 100 cut-off mark. People are still complaining. How are you, setting the university in Nigeria up for an all-comers affair, as against where the persons who actually should be in school are in school and others should go get better prepared. And now they are scrapping JAM for NCE entrance. And I am curious to find out. NCE is basically for teachers. And where you bring down the standard of applying to be a teacher to be so low, what do you expect of an already bleeding educational sector? How do you want to revive a sector that already has a lot of cracks, like the educational sector in Nigeria, when you do things like this, Tony?
Well, just like you mentioned in the NUTB against the new policy by the Ministry of Education under the Minister of Education, Alausa, it's very important we really reel out the very policy, because it was something that was announced by the Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa. That was on Monday, May 11th. I remember he was saying that candidates for NCE, that is teacher education and non-engineering, agriculture and agric-related ND programs, no longer need to sit for UTME. That's what he announced. And he now said that the minimum requirement will be at least 4 credit passes in relevant O-level, that is SXC subjects. And then he went further to say that they must still register with JAMB for documentation, verification and processing through the Central Admission Processing System to ensure transparency. But then he said that the goal of this policy is to boost enrollment in critical but undersubscribed areas, which he feels that issue of teacher education, let me put it that way, teacher education is undersubscribed. Teacher training and agriculture, people do not enroll in these fields as expected, judging by our population, judging by the growth of needs in our society. And according to him, that these will reduce barriers from repeated failures, UTME failures, and also address issue of teacher shortages, food security needs, that many colleges of education have on-field admission quotas on these areas, that they want people more. But that does not mean that it's all commerce affair, because you must have relevant O-level for you to get through. It's not that you won't have anything at all. That's what he said. Well, that's his own. But then if you look at the National Union of Teachers, of course, the Nigerian Union of Teachers, that's what they're called. Their national president, I was listening to him, Audu Titus Amber, where he was voicing strong opposition at a teachers workshop in Abuja. That was it yesterday? Because his key reason, according to what he said, was the issue of quality of teachers, the risk to quality of teachers. That for him, removing a standardized entry exam like JAM could allow weaker candidates into teacher training, as if that if you don't pass JAM, that makes you a weaker candidate. What does it mean? I mean, for me, I've always said that we need to scrap JAM entirely, because that's what the Nigerian Union of Teachers national president Audu Amber was stating, because he said that it was a wrong signal about the profession, that talking about the image of the profession. Oh, you don't need JAM to study some programs in education, whereas you need JAM. But the government says that area is undersubscribed. That area has shortages, and we have little to show for. That teachers are not coming. Well, we know, apart from this issue of JAM, have we been able to improve the welfare and the packages given to teachers? Because if you do that, there are many people who are willing to jump into. So I'm saying that Tunji Alausa did not also do holistic analysis, because why people do not subscribe to a teaching profession is because of the welfare package. Apart from that, and also the issue of hustle that is inherent before you can get that. Well, in all of this, most importantly is that they are trying to do a quick one that we attract people. But the one that will attract more people is to improve on the welfare package of teachers. If you do it now, those who are already studying one profession that would want to change to teaching job.
So then, why are we in the habit of always approaching our problems from symptomatic approach rather than looking at the basic issue? Because just like you have highlighted, which actually embodies what we have there. They want to, from what the minister said yesterday, he said that this policy is going to increase admission into tertiary institutions by about 1.5 million.
And he's looking at the numbers and not the quality.
Exactly. He's thinking about the numbers, that is going to help people to move into studying courses in college of education. Most courses, geared towards producing teachers, geared towards producing agriculturalists. Like you said, have they gone to look at what the main issue is? Because the question now is, we might end up having our college of education being oversubscribed by people who feel that this is our last resort. I'll give you an idea of the kind of idea we have about polytechnics. There was a time that if you are sitting for UME, you have options of choosing 2 universities and 1 polytechnic, and that polytechnic is like the last resort. Or if you fail to get admission into the first one, first choice, second choice, then you can now resort to polytechnic. At the point we've been having a UTME for the polytechnics, it was like a lesser examination telling you that this is where we see this. So if we are thinking about growing number of persons who are taken to these very courses, why don't we go to the foundation, do what we're supposed to do in the area of agriculture, show that we are serious with agriculture? You will see people who will willingly go into these universities. Then the areas of people of the schools that train teachers, you see people who will just on their own go and sit for an examination and say, what I want to study in university is so and so. I want to study education courses because this is what I want to be. I once gave an example on this platform of a friend of mine who left Nigeria to go to Oman. I'm sorry, Oman, but he went to Oman in Asia. Today he's a teacher teaching there. Another person left her job in Enugu, where he was working in a big corporation as a communication officer, went to Kazakhstan to do masters. After masters, she has taken to teaching as a job, and
she'll never take it in Nigeria.
Yeah, and according to her, teaching is a big job over there, and she's happy in doing that. If you also go to Philippines, you see Nigerians who are also taking to teaching over there, but when they were in Nigeria, they never considered that. So what would it take for us to look at the foundation and fix the issues we're having in this sector? Why people are not taking to teaching profession, or not taking to education courses that might make them to become teachers?
Well, just like I have highlighted, and you made it very important that we look at it from that angle. We are not solving the problem from the base. Just like you said, we are looking at it from symptomatic approach, fire brigade approach. We want these numbers, and if you bring these numbers, many of them will study the courses. Are they going to practice it? That's another thing, because studying the course does not also guarantee that you are going to practice it, because if you go in there and you see what others are seeing, before you know it, you opt out. I have to be very frank with you. If you go to China, an average secondary school teacher equivalent is paid $2,000 to $3,500. That's what a secondary school teacher, especially when you study English, or maybe you speak English in a way of using it as a mode of teaching. That's what they are paid, secondary school teachers in China. The truth remains that if you go to Philippines, you mentioned, the starting pay is about $450 to $550 per month. China pays more than Philippines. China pays about $2,000 to $3,500. I would want you to calculate that amount in naira. If you also go to Ghana here, the average salary of a teacher in Ghana, secondary school teacher, is about between $300 to $400 per month. Then if you come to Nigeria, I'm looking at the salary from 50,000 to 200,000 a month naira. That tells you it's between $40 to about $150 per month. That's for Nigeria. $150 are those who are paid 200,000 naira. But
you must have spent a minimum of 25 years in teaching.
200,000 naira. But Chisom, I was discussing with somebody. Somebody was telling me that if you go to Lagos, if you come to Lagos, there are so many private schools in Lagos that if you're good and a quality teacher, they pay 150 to 200,000.
In Onitsha here.
I'm not talking about Onitsha.
No, hold on.
Somebody was talking about Lagos. That they pay about 200,000, 250, 300,000 in Lagos.
That is small regardless. Look at the standard of living. Look at the cost of living. There are schools in Onitsha here, in GRA, in Transinkisi, that pay as much as 120, 150.
Okay.
Now, but you're looking at a teacher that has to come to work at least 6 times in a week. Who needs to take transport? Who has to pay transport fare? Who needs to feed herself, clothe herself, and all whatnot? And so while the cost of living is seeping into all of that, and they seem to be doing all right, teaching has to stop being the job of the ones who remain poor. The truth is, how many people after teaching, I am telling you that the salary of a government teacher who has taught for 25 years is 200 and some and a little 300, 300.
And you know we are talking about you're on
25
point.
years later.
How much?
200,000.
If you say 200,000, Chisom, because we are talking dollars here, because we are making comparison.
I am talking naira.
If we say 200,000, it means that the person earns about $153
after
a
being
month.
in a system for
100
something years.
100
retirement.
$153 or what? Maybe approximately $155. That's what the person who is earning 200,000. But if you go to Ghana, they earn equivalently about $400, twice of that amount.
That's
to tell you that is what we have to start looking at. Tunji Maruf allows the Honorable Minister of Education. Can we do something about the salaries, the welfare package of teachers? Before, when I was growing up, most times when we were growing up, they were allocated houses. Deductions will be made from their salaries. By the time they will be retiring, they will move it. The house becomes theirs.
Oh well, now
what are we doing about their gratuities? For me, if we do something about our teaching profession, just as we have in some states where they prioritize teachers above ministry workers, because I know in a number of states teachers are prioritized above ministry workers in terms of pay and order. But we can do much more than that. We can set a boundary. Teachers should earn anything not less than 250,000. And you will see how people will troop in there, not by removing JAM. For me, JAM has not been a good yardstick to measure maybe polity or intelligence.
On a good day, Tony, we will talk about the standard of education from the perspective of someone who went through. I'm a registered teacher, for the records. So I went through a teacher's training college. I went through a college of education, and I'll tell you as a matter of fact that while what the federal government has done with JAMB is a very big problem, the standard of education, that sometimes I ask myself, are you really teaching these people to come and teach my child? Okay.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
Searching for a place to eat good food and still enjoy premium relaxation? Stanley World Agwoka got you covered. Welcome to Stanley SFF Restaurant and Operiche Lounge Agwoka, where taste meets class. From hot, delicious local dishes to mouth-watering African and continental cuisines, pepper soup, grilled meat, rice, drinks, and many more. Everything is fresh and satisfying. Step into Operiche Lounge, a calm, classy environment to chill, hang out, and unwind. Perfect for friends, dates, and after work relaxation. Chop well, drink well, and feel cool morning, afternoon, and night. Stanley SFF Restaurant and Operiche Lounge, a haven for good food, great vibes, top security, and steady comfort. For further inquiry, call 0814-565-6920 or 0813-855-8009.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Join the conversation. Put a call across to 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. And of course, you know how we do it. 2 minutes mark. Drop your comment on Facebook and be as objective as possible. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Tony. Good morning, Bonnie.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Tony from Mo.
You're welcome.
Yeah, please, concerning Tanzanian drastic report, I think what Mr. Ben says is the half truth. He's not telling us the fact, even though it was not associated with sexual assault or thought in the heart, but he's not giving us the supposed details. I don't know, was there, did he give many oaths to take here? Why is he not telling us? What is behind? Give us the facts now. What is the position? When it comes to the Southern University matter, he will always say, but if he's not want to say anything, he's not giving us the full details about it. That's my concern. Thank you.
Let's hear you. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, we can hear you.
Good morning, Simi.
You're
Good
welcome.
morning, Tony Kandesi and Mr. Frank.
All right, you're welcome. Please go on.
Professor Maruki, calling from
Your voice is so down, Maroke. Can you up your voice?
Right. Is it loud now?
Yes, okay.
Go
Then.
ahead, please.
No, talking about APC. They never see something. I know it will happen. In fact, started now is not what I was even expected. I thought it was maybe after the primaries, but it started early, and that is very good for them. When they are making those nonsense laws, thinking that they are trying to witch hunt some people, knowing not that it will go against them, they have not even seen anything. Because if these people have no way to run to, they will make sure that they deal with this party. That is one thing that they don't understand. As you have looked everywhere for them not to be fair, they don't have any option than to deal with you. And that is what ABC will expect this time around, no matter how it is. And it is impossible that the whole Senate will return. It is impossible that the whole House of Rep member will return. Not to talk of going down to House of Assembly and all that. They have never seen anything. And I like it the way it is. So, if they know what is good for them, I don't know if they will go and revisit that law. But I don't know. It is very late. That is what I am praying for them. I'm praying for the party to be. Then, Mr. Speaker, talking on the issue of the statement from the Minister of Education. To me, Mr. Speaker, I didn't see any problem there. I don't know why in Nigeria we always like certificate of a thing, JAMB and all that. If you ask me, JAMB is just an institution to make money for the federal government. I am telling you the truth. Because so many of the people that they pass their JAMB, some of them are not even good enough. Some manipulate themselves into that get that result. So to me, if we want to get a good standard, it is only the school who you the school you want to apply for is the people that can get good result of the people that they want. You understand? That position to me is more standard than JAMB. But you may not understand it. So Mr. Manosa, whatever he did on that, to me is good. So in fact, if they will listen to me, they should scrap them and make position me authentic. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Let's hear you. 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Good morning. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. I hope that you are hearing me.
You're welcome.
Yes, okay. Chidi Chukwuma, joining you from home. Let me speak on that issue of a crisis in the RC University. If we cannot get a clearance from the journalist, because the person you engage during the analysis
introduced himself as a journalist, and everybody was hoping that him being there as eyewitness to the whole crisis that is going on the other day, is capable of giving the people a clear picture of what transpired in that institution, knowing fully well that if I can call them the last hope with journalists, the 40th state of the ring, the voice of the people. The people always depend on them for clearer information. There is no other institution in Nigeria that the people are hoping for. But most of the time, especially here in Anambra State and even other parts of Southeast, we always find it difficult when it is a matter that needed a clear investigation. Most of the time, either you tell the police when they commit crime to investigate it themselves, and the other government official to investigate themselves. Then what is the job of a journalist? Because let's say what will happen in Mpox and so on and so on. And also that even up to now, that kidnapping incident, the person that commits that crime, people don't even know where he hailed from, whether it's from Anambra State or from other states. They don't even mention this name, but we have journalists here. And in that market, something happened, was it last year, when a young man who went to collect his money was killed and butchered and packed into prison. Then, even up to today, the identity of the killer, even the identity of the one killed, nobody knows about that, but we have journalists all over the place. Who then can we rely on when there is the person you call is a very, very economical with the truth? Why is it protect? If you know that you have an interest in here, or that you don't want to have a person that you want, why not say that you will not involve in giving out information? How can you come to the public only to be playing a prank? So that is a very, very unfortunate. Good morning.
Good morning. 0803-221-6973. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Hello.
We
You're
can
welcome.
hear you.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, man. I'm calling from Oka.
You're
Let's hear
welcome.
you, Chinwazo.
Yeah, I think it's Udala Radio.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. My brother, thank you people for the wonderful program. Just like as my brother in studio was saying, he was talking about Ghana and all these things. The reason why the federal government or the Ministry of Education, they know the truth, they know what they are going to do to make our people, the young generation, to be able to engage themselves in education. Let me tell you, even in civil servant, if you watch that now, all the whole civil servant majority is women. Like me, I cannot encourage my son to be a civil servant. How much is they paying? Imagine those local government chairman, councillor, those witnesses. You know how much they're paying them. The thing is that our government, they are concerned, they are heartless. Look at Ghana. They are just talking about our state governor, Anambra state governor was saying he pay minimum wage. I ask a question. That money you are paying as minimum wage, you as a governor, is it up to the money you use as a recharge card in the 2 days? So the problem is let them invest, pay the civil servant, pay the teachers, especially the career teachers, especially the primary school teachers who are bringing up the future generation, medical doctors, all this and that. But they can't be able to pay a good salary. How do you expect our brothers to come and work there? Even you as a general, can you advise your son or your son to come and join teacher in Nigeria with how much? How much a house rent? A flat in now is about 1.something million. How many people can be able to pay such amount? So I want to advise our Ministry of Education, let them pay teacher the civil servant, pay them a number. Look at our economy. If you take ordinary 200,000 to the market, I bet you will come out with ordinary taco bag. So my advice for them, this thing they are doing, they are just putting around the car. Let them pay civil teachers, the civil servants, pay them enforce money that is worthy for their work. Because they do work more than politicians.
Okay, thank you. Your point has been quite noted. So can we put our points together and not just say the same thing over and over again? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Franklin.
We can hear
You're
you.
welcome.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Yes. Good morning, Chisom.
Good
The
morning.
Master of Honorable Mayor Okuchukwu Mejepi Okulolo Chendo. Can I go on?
Please go
You're
ahead.
welcome.
Let me clear this here that the APC primary, those that we are discussing, just qualified because of weaker.
Sorry,
Yes.
so sorry, it's not primary, it's screening.
Because of,
It's screening. Primary has not been conducted.
Are you there? Hello?
Hello?
It's screening.
The screening, I mean the screening.
Okay.
We are just disqualified. All those excuses they have been given. That means that those of weaker angels, their own credibility, all of everything about them went well. Then one of Fugara are faulty. You see, this kind of thing are the things that made the politics of this country to be going somehow. Because some of those people that we are disqualified, they be the eligible people to do good work. But because of the former that they have seen the way it went well. I advise them to go to court and challenge that. Then, teaching in this country, everybody knows that nothing is going well. From the analysis, even from the analysis that Tony became this one. Even when we were growing, when we were in school, it has been long teaching profession spoiled. Because I knew when we were in school, you only have one teacher, one male teacher or two in the whole school. Even go to many schools now, you see that it is only women. Most of the people that teach it now are women. Because a matter of not knowing what to do. And as well, when they are teaching, because of the poor payment, you see them, some of them with the, I don't know how they are not to in a classroom. Some of them will be selling kids and sweets to the children that they are, in order to make up for their living. So all these things will show you that of the day, Alausa is not doing what he's supposed to do. I thank our government trying. No state in Nigeria has given free education up to secondary school, but he's trying so much. But I want to encourage him to please start paying it as well, so that education is forward. Wherever education is going well, that place more like a good place. Thank you. God bless you.
One or two more calls and then we head over to Facebook. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Hello.
Good
You're
morning.
welcome.
Yeah, good morning. This is Casey Charles, the commercial driver that loves listening to Udala FM from Asaba.
You're
Go ahead,
welcome.
please.
I greet everybody in the studio. I want to speak on the matter of this education stuff. In my own days when I was in school, when I was in the secondary school, prior to going to my first year in university, I used to know that most men do teach. I used to know my friend teacher was a Ghanaian. My agricultural teacher was a Ghanaian as well. And they are all men. But these days, they leave teaching profession to women because once a man becomes a teacher, ends will not meet. Because you can't provide for the family with the stipend that are being paid. Imagine when you pay for your children's school fees, you pay for their feeding, you pay for, even if the woman, let's assume that the wife and the husband are teachers. So how would they make ends meet in this harsh condition? So I support the motion when my speaker Olisa Mbeki said that the teachers' welfare should be looked into to make it more attractive. I can't imagine telling my daughter, my son now to go and teach. No. I can't do that. So they should look onto look into the welfare of the teachers to make it more attractive. Ghanaians you are teaching here, other states, other countries come to Nigeria and teach. And also the issue of primaries. My dear brothers and sisters, this in Nigeria na boju boju, Yoruba say boju boju. Yes, this boju boju politics. And I pray they shouldn't come into our own party and infiltrate it. If they lose, let them lose and say they are fight over their position. If they want to support, if they want to keep mood, let them keep mood. But they shouldn't come into our own parties, which we are trying to build now, infiltrate it with their problem. So I don't know this kind of this thing. Look at what is happening
Thank you very much. Let's head over to Facebook.
Okay, so on our Facebook page we have also Francis Prince Winamanes, who says our political leaders and government at all levels should collaborate and prioritize on how to end the spate of insecurity in the country rather than shifting more attention to 2027 general elections. Jacob Bishop from Accra, Ghana says about the disqualification of the Fubara allies, Fubara should take his defeat in good faith. Wike will still be useful to the president in the coming election. I assume that's the reason for his preference of Wike over Fubara. Mazimu Rechipadorosnachi says, there is this poor mentality that many Africans believe in, that the wages of a teacher is in heaven. That's why the welfare of them is being overlooked in this country, which is extremely wrong. He says APC is gradually becoming Nollywood actors. Very soon, crisis will showcase. Okay. Also, Francis, watching from Amaguns in Enugu State, says, on xenophobic attacks, I urge the federal government swiftly to do everything possible to protect Nigerians in South Africa. A stitch in time saves nine. I don't know if you saw the video of a Nigerian challenging South Africans to dare touch him in a bank, that he was going nowhere. Then this further one is from Chieloze Prince. He says, were you expecting Makai to plead guilty of the accusation? It's not possible for anyone to go on a debate with somebody who is carrying a gun and can shoot you and nothing will happen. The same people who collected family naira for native doctor are arrested in Nnewi till today. Nothing has happened. The ones who beat up NYC lady and her colleagues, and they are not the ones still doing the job in OKTT Road. Okay, thank you for your input. Then Gregory Thaddeus says, he posted from Asaba, the case of the altercation in Tanzania University is very unfortunate. You may never understand the entire story because of secrets surrounding cases like that. Okay. Chooks Ezedebego, thank you for this. It's quite insightful. Trying to talk about the name, how it's pronounced. Chede or Denkalo. Alright, thank you. Then, and Zepwe Celestine says APC house is on fire, but the funny thing is that the occupants are chasing rats. Come to think of it, instead of putting their party leadership in order, they are after the position on how to silence them. And it boils down to the fact that there are politicians measuring the APC that cannot win an election without rigging when it comes to popularity. And he says, I think if we are to get it right in our political system, then we must make all the elected positions less attractive. Then, Kachi Clement, thank you for watching from Onitsha. Rutrat Obia Wike to Christopher says, issues of internal democracy must be taken very seriously, as it is the foundation of democracy in general. Parties that want to capitalize on the new electoral law to screen out some candidates without any good reasons should also be aware that people can still remain in the party and work against that party, or to resign one's membership and work against the party. And he says he's seeing cracks after party primaries. Then Dr. Misimo Lebra says, she posted from where she says security is not just the absence of war, but more in modern perception, the ability of governments and institutions to live up to its obligations to the people. Failure to provide water, shelter, education, employment, healthcare, power, security, justice, etc. to the people cause to question the legitimacy of government. A government can be failed when there is a government without good governance. when industries are no longer functioning? How did we degenerate to this level? She asked. Then Dasco Furniture, okay, Engineer Dasco from Onitsha, he says, I think government should increase the salary of teachers nationwide because they are the ones that teach them to become what they are today. We are still very far in many infrastructure in this country. I think the government needs to do better in this increase of worker salaries because the minimum wage isn't enough for their daily living. And I'm going to look at this quickly. Sunday Amem, thank you for being there. Then Arinze Jimbo says, okay, he wants to thank us for the analysis. Okay, thank you. So we have taken note of the concerns you expressed about the Tansian incident. So, of course, we're going to dig more about that. Thank you for all watching. BBK Ismail and Jeff, also thank you for being there.
All right, then. Thank you for your calls and your contribution. Tony, your final words as we sign off.
I was actually going through some memos and trying to recall a lot of things that happened before independent. I'm still of the view that we need to bring independent candidacy of a thing. We had it in 1959. If you look at the 1959 federal election, I remember that there were about 312 seats in the House of Representatives, and there were about 133 independent candidates. 9 won seats, about 3% of total seats, and most came from the eastern region, with notable successes also in other areas. I can tell you, likes of Adaji, Enofola, they were all independent candidates. In fact, in 1964 federal independent election, of course, we had another election in 1964. We had about 5 seats won by independents. We call them independent candidates. Even Chief T.O.S. Benson, many people know T.O.S. Benson. Of course, T.O.S. Benson is an in-law to the current governor of Central Bank. He's currently an in-law to, I don't want to go deep. The man T.O.S. Benson won election in 1964 as an independent candidate. Of course, we know, though, Oluchola Saraki, Dr. Oluchola Saraki, the father to Bukola Saraki, he ran as an independent candidate, though he lost. But why I'm bringing this? Because of this party screening this, screening that. We had this before. Why can't we bring it back? I have said that. And also, the Nigerian Union of Teachers President, you mixed the point. You are talking about issue of job. You didn't use that opportunity to talk about the welfare of teachers as being the attractive package. You have to think deep. That's all I have to say.
All right, then. Thank you, Tony. Franklin.
Just for reflection, I just want us to think. It used to be a practice whereby if people graduate from universities with first class, they are offered automatic job for them to help in mentoring the younger ones. And they used to grab it with 2 hands. Today, you have first class graduates, you offer them jobs to teach, and they turn it down. So let's ask ourselves if we are going forward or going backwards.
Big question there. Are we going forward or backwards? And of course, today is Wednesday. I'm pretty sure you're aware that everything you need to do to get your voter's card and also probably check